people say, you know, doesn't the Bible have something to say about what's going to happen in the future in the Middle East? And it does. And specifically, it talks about two great battles that are going to take place in a time period the Bible calls the tribulation. And I want to talk about these two battles today and what the Bible says and the nations that are going to be involved. It is very, very interesting, and I think you'll find it fascinating as we talk about it. Mark, I'm going to ask you to define the first one, and Ron, the second one. The first one is called the battle that is found in Ezekiel's prophecy in chapter 38. So a lot of people call it the Ezekiel 38 War. What in the world is that?
Sometimes people call it the Ezekiel 38 War. Sometimes it's called the Gog and Magog War. And what it describes is sometime right before the tribulation period begins or early in the tribulation, there's differences of opinion about the timing of it. And we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But what it describes is a confederation of nations that come into the land of Israel in an attempt to wipe out the Jewish people, to destroy them once and for all. And of course, we see a lot of anti-Semitism in the world today, and we see Israel surrounded really by a sea of enemies. But the Bible gives the specific nations and gives us a few clues about the timing of this invasion when this vast horde of nations will pour into the land of Israel in the end times.
Yeah, and we're going to look at the nations that are named in terms of the geographical area and put names to the nations that are there now in just a moment. And we're also going to talk about what happens in that battle. But there's another battle, and it's not the Ezekiel 38 battle. It's the Battle of Armageddon, which almost everybody in the world has heard about, but very few know what it actually is. What is it, Ron?
Well, it's interesting that some people try to equate Armageddon with the Ezekiel invasion, and they're not the same. They're very distinct from each other. Now, Armageddon is both a place and an event. The place is 60 miles north of Jerusalem. It's the Mount of Megiddo. And that mount, along with the Valley of Jezreel, is where all the armies of the world will converge against Israel. And there's a number of things that unfold in relation to Armageddon. It's not one battle. There's a series of battles. And some of the highlights would include the fall of Jerusalem, the destruction of Babylon, and the Antichrist forces moving against the Jewish remnant in the wilderness. And so again, it's not a single battle, it's a series of battles, and it happens pretty quickly, and it's probably the most violent series of battles ever to come upon man.